Good evening and welcome to our video podcast, Into the Darkness. Last night we all watched episode 7 of Lovecraft Country and we're ready to discuss. Remember, there will be major spoilers in this episode. Comment at the bottom if you want to give us your opinion. Tonight our participants will be Josh Harwood, John Hook, Wayne Worthy, and John Dos Passos.
The ever-present
he still has his character
Bayou Bay issue. Bayou Babe.
And of course myself. So what everybody think?
Loved it. One of my favorite episodes as well.
One of my favorites too.
I'm 70-30 on it. 70 good.
Yeah, I am a little I'm very confused.
Insane.
But in a good way? Question mark?
I'll say the first part not so great. The last part phenomenal.
Oh yeah, that last bit is the best part.
Do we want to tackle it chronologically like we have been, or?
All right,
yeah, let's do that.
Sure.
Yeah, because I think do we open with the Montrose stuff? Yeah,
Montrose and his boyfriend.
Yes, I can't remember. I feel bad. I can't remember. I think was it Seymour or
Sam.
something?
Sammy.
Sammy. Thank you, Sammy.
So
you go ahead. Yeah.
I thought it was interesting that it starts out with them sort of feeling okay, and then Montrose starts complaining about the way Sammy made him breakfast, and it's like their love affair lasts for seconds, and then it just immediately, which is actually I thought very realistic in some cases.
It seemed to me that Montrose is still afraid of coming out. I don't feel like he is I don't think he's public about himself, about his sexuality.
It's the 1950s though.
Yeah.
And that would have landed you in jail.
Right. I mean, yeah. So I mean, it's the 1950s and he's black and he's gay. So I mean, he's going to have a ton of strikes to get. And I get the sense that he's just afraid of being outed. But
and he's afraid of any kind of relationship like that.
He is.
Yeah.
And if it was any other character, I would have so much sympathy, and you would just want to, even though that his story arc is clearly, a B or a C track kind of, story, because he's not the main character. He participates and he has useful things that the main character needs, useful information and that kind of stuff. He's not the main, but because of just the despicable things that he's done, the way that he's treated Atticus, the murder of the woman, the native, Indian woman that came from the other dimension or whatever, and who knows what he did with those pages from the Book of Names. I don't think they were destroyed. I don't think they can be destroyed. I'm just, making assumptions here, but, he's done so many things. He's got so much red in that ledger. I just don't.
Right.
I want to root for him, and I want to see him, have this ascension where he's able to be his true self, because we love seeing that in characters. But then you go, oh, that's right, you are a murderer.
Yeah, well, I'm hoping that when we get to the 1920s episode, that maybe we'll at least find out the reasons why he is the way he is.
Yeah.
And then at the very most, we can pity him for what was done to him.
I will say this. I don't particularly like Montrose either. But I think that the way that the character is written, it's realistic for the time. And for that individual, coming up, how he came up, he was definitely in an abusive relationship with his father, grew up being abused, put that out onto Atticus, and then some of what he feels are inner failings, he puts out on Atticus. And that's what Atticus, his whole outburst wasn't really about the fact that his father was gay. yeah, that bothered him. But the fact that when he was growing up, he was always being beaten, told not to be a sissy, and this, that, and the other.
Right.
And all along, his father was just basically taking his frustrations out on his son for no reason.
I still didn't like that. Out of all the things for Atticus to be angry to Montrose about, he shows up, and that's all he talks about. That he says he calls him the F word, and all that, and it
The other F word, the three-letter F word.
Yes,
No,
right. The synonym for cigarettes that that British women use, but and like I really didn't like that. And it just adds to like what we saw last week, where it's like, a friend of mine pointed out that we're not supposed to like Atticus, I suppose, but then he's the protagonist, so then that throws a wrench in the whole. You're not supposed to like them because the way storytelling works, but. It's just they're really lining this up with last episode and this episode. Atticus doesn't have a good track record with me as much anymore. As much as I like the character.
I think Tick's reaction was kind of, to me, it was a real reaction, because I don't think it was really that made him react. It's just a build-up of everything. I've had this, where everything that's happened to you from a certain person, it all just builds up, and just one thing can tip you over the edge. And I think that was the thing that tipped him, and that's what made him angry. I think it was perfect.
I actually kind of agree with you. And although what I would say is, I think for Atticus, it was like, and this on top of everything else that's been going on, can it get any crazier? I thought that his actual reaction that he acted out was typical. I think of what usually it's the other way around. It's the parent reacting that way to the kid.
Right.
And freaking out completely. So much so that, obviously Atticus was going there to talk to Montrose. And then whatever reason they went there for, it was completely got thrown out of the way. I also thought that Montrose's reaction was very realistic when he yells at Atticus, "You have to respect me." Now, I don't agree with that. However, I've seen that reaction before too. You have to respect me because I'm your father, regardless of what I've ever done to you. And most kids are of the opinion, I'll respect you when you do something worthy of my respect.
Right.
And I thought that actually was pretty well written. I didn't like the scene. The whole situation bothers me. It's not the movie that I'd watch.
But I think that's the proper reaction for the viewer to be disturbed by that. Again, this is one of the reasons why I don't get this particular portion a negative. I feel like while it's sickening and while we don't like what's going on here, it felt realistic. It didn't feel just shoehorned in,
Yeah.
I think my real only negative with the beginning of it was that it was kind of boring.
Yeah.
And I kept thinking, well, is this whole episode just going to be the unimportant stuff that people talk about in between the important stuff?
Like the filler episode.
I liked that Ruby and Letitia sort of made up. That was nice, but it was kind of boring. It was just there.
It's setting things. I feel like it's setting things up for the sort of climax because things are ahead. Yeah.
Also, I remember now. Didn't the episode actually start with them down in Christina's basement?
Right.
And we find out that William was killed.
Right.
And
that's the second scene. Right. That's the second scene.
That's the second scene. Okay.
So right after the scene with Montrose and them, the next scene I remember because I was watching it. I watched it this morning, or actually at lunchtime, and I remember that. Yeah. So we go right to that scene, and it's immediately like just straight to Ruby is I can't believe you lied to me as William this whole time, and she does the explanation of I was lying to you about who I was, but the words were mine, and that they actually did kill him. My only one thing was, just little. I like the show a lot. It's a little nitpicks. Like I surprised that nobody on the writing team caught that. She said, "They were already dead. I just took their blood," and it's
Right.
like, I'm sorry. If they're already dead, then there's not. There's no blood for you left to take. Like, why are they hooked up to a machine?
If by dead she might be means like brain dead.
Brain dead. I guess that could.
He's still alive because they're still hooked up to machines.
Right, they're hooked up to because otherwise the blood would not be flowing out of them. It would be getting solid.
Right.
So
also to correct things, so the first scene on the show was Hippolyta or Hippolyta.
Oh, I'm sorry, that's correct.
Hippolyta. Okay.
Hippolyta.
Whatever. There's so many pronunciations in this show right now.
Yeah.
But like I had her actually finding the wreckage of.
That's true.
That's right. With D.
And then,
with D.
yeah,
and then we go to Montrose, and then we go to
because she found the comic, the ripped up comic or whatever.
Right.
So, yeah.
Did that bother anybody? Did it bother anybody that when she's looking through the rubble of the house, nothing was burned? I'm like, the whole place went up in an inferno. How is it that the paper and all the wood, I didn't see a single thing that was burned?
It was some very odd, like, oh yes, big fireball, but then but the important stuff didn't burn. It's like, I mean, that does happen, but I mean,
Actually,
perfectly.
Actually, it was the page was actually burned. It was like half of the page or something. That was
one like the top or the bottom.
Yeah, it was like the top.
It was like a little sliver of it that was burnt.
You're right.
Or did we miss something? Was there a little sign on the screen that said like 4 years ago or 3 years
ago
in the future, or we don't know exactly when that happened. That could still happen.
No, it said 3 days ago. 3 days ago.
3 days.
3 days
Yeah,
ago.
3 days.
Yeah.
The whole thing is that
3 days. Yeah, she was in the hotel room or her bedroom or something.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Remember?
Machine, but 3 days before she had been there in Artem.
Yeah, because you remember when
turn the car around.
Yeah, remember when they did their heist or whatever, and they ended up back in the house. And she's like, "How the hell did they get all the way back there?" And then she turned around, did a U-turn, and did some answers to get some answers. That was her going back to Artem.
Okay, I see the order now.
Yeah.
And then she opens the aura, which she had been trying to figure out all that time.
Mm-hmm. And I love how she figures it out too. I love it how she figures it out. She's kind of gives up and she's laying on her bed and she's looking at it. She's like, "Huh? They spin on their axis. That's right." And she gets up and she does the whole thing. That's I love how like intelligent she is in there. You know, she was like doing calculus. I was like, I checked out when I start seeing squiggly lines or whatever. Like, you got this.
Well, that comes to the next scene, which I thought was very interesting. She gets the information and she goes to the observatory and she finds.
Oh, but before she goes, remember she's riding down the road. I had wanted to bring this up because this was a small little Easter egg. So back in the Jim Crow era, there was a woman by the name of Betsy Stringfield, and she was an African-American woman who rode on the back of a motorcycle throughout the South and throughout the United States and pretty much survived through that. So it was really cool just to see her sort of ride next to her and they waved to each other. And if nobody knows about the history, they would have just been like, what the hell is that? But there you go.
Cool.
That's super awesome.
It really was
nice
little Easter egg to throw in there.
The motorcycle queen.
Yeah.
So she gets to the observatory.
Right.
She finds the machine, which I don't know whether it was. I kept hearing references to a time machine, maybe some sort of gate.
As I say, I think that's a better way of putting it within mythos terms or within genre terms. And then she turns the device on.
Right. She figures out how to.
Yeah.
But then, and this was the interesting thing, it shows her sitting there next to the telescope. And I don't know if these were projections of mathematics or this was supposed to be in her head.
I think it was in her head. Because she was like sitting down and writing and then kind of thinking and then writing or whatever. You would see these things pop up.
Yeah,
I kind of like to think that she was absorbing the information as it was coming out of the machine.
That would be cool too. Yeah.
In any case, somehow, maybe because of my participation in Two-Headed Serpent, I had a feeling something was going to happen to that damn machine. Like always when you've created some glorious machine, somebody's going to shoot it or kick it or something like that.
It's fragile. Leave it alone.
Yeah. Shoot over there.
I'll say this was my favorite chapter in the book was Hippolyta traveling, through space, through this gate. And I liked how the book has it one way, and clearly HBO has already diverged by not introducing certain characters, killing off other characters, and so there are characters that Hippolyta interacts with in the book that are not available in the HBO series, which is fine. So it was entertaining to see how HBO was going to handle this chapter their way, and I liked it a lot. Even with all the other scenes in the episode, this really buoyed the entire episode for me. So it was my favorite chapter, and so far now, I think it's my favorite episode because it was awesome. I really, really liked it.
And as Stuart was pointing out to us today when we were chit-chatting, is that every episode seems to have a different style. And
right.
This was radically different in style from the Korean episode, which was very, very interesting too. I liked the whole very sort of what would a 1950s person think an outer space weird future trip would be like, and it was exactly that. I thought immediately of the musical The Wiz when we see the robot with the afro that's like 14 feet across. I'm like, that is so cool. And then I thought at that moment it was weird, but it very quickly became profound when she's locked in that room and the robot keeps telling her, you're not a prisoner. This is not a prison. And it takes Hippolyta a little while to realize that she could leave anytime she wants. She has to leave this way, this is in her mind. And the robot's like, who are you? Where do you want to go? And then she does I thought it was interesting. She wants to kill white people, white men specifically. And then she becomes like Hippolyta, Queen of the Amazons.
Right. And
wait. Before we even jump forward, can we just talk about the masterful casting of Josephine Baker?
Oh, yes. Yeah, that's what she wanted first.
Yeah,
because I was going to say, because she went to France. I was going to say she went to France first. Yeah.
That was such a. I
love that as well. And I swear, I knew that it wasn't. But while I was watching that, when they were doing like the little montage scene, there was part of me that it was like, oh man, I bet this is what Carcosa feels like to an extent. Like, what are we? Are we hanging out in the night floors right now? Is this the Broadwell Inn? Like with the we're doing the dance and then we're drinking and partying and then we're doing the dance and then we're drinking and partying and then we're doing the dance. It's like, are they doing anything else in France?
Maybe a little homage to Kurt Vonnegut's. What was that story?
What's it called?
The Slaughterhouse.
Slaughterhouse 5. Slaughterhouse 5 is what the name is. Yeah.
That is also a very good book.
You
should go read it if you haven't, viewers.
For those of you who haven't, the character appears in 3 different timelines in the
Right.
story. One of them's way in the future. Yeah, I'd forgotten. Yeah, that the actress that played Josephine Baker.
That was
She
quality.
was-
It did catch me off guard. I was like, hang on a minute. She's dead.
Exactly. Exactly.
And then she tells Josephine that she wants to kill white men, and we understand her, and she also said something else incredibly profound, that she felt small and that she had once been bigger and that she had allowed herself to be made smaller and smaller.
Yeah.
And that keeps coming up. So she becomes Hippolyta. Well, she is Hippolyta. I don't know if they were supposed to be Amazons or what, but warriors.
Yeah.
And she
It
goes
was all
through the.
metaphor too, basically.
Well, that's
Yeah.
Were they? It seemed more like they were in Africa, because given looked more like British colonials, but I don't know. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
the vibe I got.
Yeah.
But
They're all
like,
just
it was
tackled
all
really
symbolic.
good.
yeah, all
Yeah.
of it was symbolic.
Yeah, it
And-
was all. Yeah.
and even this scene with her and George, which
Hmm.
I love those scenes.
Oh,
Yeah.
just
Yeah,
both of them together are so.
I know.
so
I was
I'm
just like,
bring,
George.
bring
Well,
Uncle
I
another-
George,
was as well.
bring
Another
Uncle George back. Yeah,
Yeah.
another incredibly profound moment, because she was finally back with George and back in the same bed that they were in before, and they're
Mhm.
still in love. And she suddenly realizes, yeah, but I made myself smaller to fit into your world, and you let me. And then I was like, I was waiting for George to argue, but then he's like, no, you're right, I did. And I was wrong to let you make yourself. I was just like blown away by that whole dialogue.
yeah.
Yeah. They're just so good. They're so good together, and it's nice to see George back because he is.
I
meant
know.
he's meant to be.
I know. Bring
Yeah.
him back. Bring him back.
However, that does lead into
Yeah.
something that I want to talk about, but I think we should leave the Atticus coming back till after we've talked about
Yes.
the
Yeah,
start of the
yeah,
journey. So
yeah,
I'll
But yeah,
come
I
back
love-
to
I-
that.
yeah. I love that scene. And it shows the maturity of the both parties. It wasn't raised voices. You were right. Like
Right.
he sat back and he was going to argue. He thought about it. He says, you're right. I did hold you back. I'm sorry. And it was an honest apology, and I felt that too.
It was two
Actors are
sides to a
superb.
single soul. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They feel real as well. They felt real.
yeah.
And then my favorite part of the whole thing, they become space ambassadors and they go to alien planets.
That part I was a little like, okay, all right.
I thought that was
Hey, you got to go with
brilliant.
it, man. You
Yeah,
gotta
I
go
no,
loved
for
it.
sure. Yeah.
It was.
Her-
It was
Bubble
probably
helmets.
The best.
Her-
It was
her-
the best.
Her higher ideal was to bring peace and friendship and love to the whole universe.
Right,
Right.
Instead of killing white men.
right.
Make peace
I
with little
thought-
green men.
I thought she's becoming more than what she was before. She's becoming bigger than she was.
Yeah,
And shout out to the costume designers because
Yeah.
throughout the entire show the costumes are great, but this
Abs-
episode, holy
Yeah. That dress with the little planets.
yeah.
I mean,
And it looked
was,
exactly like Dee's drawing on the comic book.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Right.
Yep.
yeah.
And all hail out to George Jetson and his wife Judy or his daughter Judy. I mean, it was so cool. And then of course she moves on from there and goes up and meets, which we've all been joking is obviously Yog Sothoth with a big giant afro, master of time and space, and
Yeah, and the gates.
she
You know,
gets
That scene where they're kind of like floating in space and she probably is Yog Sothoth. That image
Yeah.
of her in all the robes and stuff kind
Yes.
of
With
Yeah,
the
the drizzling
it really
down.
looked like it just kept going, like she was the end of like some kind of tentacle or something,
Right.
Yeah,
so it was very
it was I did like that shot because you had Hippolyta like really small, and then you had
Mhm.
you
Or
could
like
tell there was
giant,
something.
yeah.
cosmic about
Yeah.
it. Like this was, if this wasn't someone with a massive afro, this would be horrifying. But I think in a way it is horrifying because of, as you said, the dress. Because if you kept looking, it did keep going, and I actually thought that was a nice little terrifying touch because it did keep going down.
And then she realizes that she could literally have it all. She could be an immortal being forever. And as I remember, she chose, because she has a family, to go back.
Right.
Yeah.
Her daughter. Yeah.
Although
She said, "Dee needs me."
Yeah.
Although we don't see her come out of the gate. Which
Yes, but
she could be already back home.
back at home, yeah. That's what I was thinking. Because if you think about it, Yaltsev asked her, "Who are you? Where do you want to be?" And she spoke where she wants to be, and she was right there, not like miles away. So
I really hope
like,
she brought George with her.
that would be
that'd be crazy.
I want to discuss the George thing in it, but when we talk about Tick coming back through.
All right.
Oh,
so
okay.
let's jump to that then. Well, we didn't really mention about killing the cops, but that did happen.
I guess we should actually talk about that at the end of that. That's the cliffhanger. So we should talk about that last.
Okay.
But it happened before they went into the game.
I know, but part of what was it was revealed that But yeah, so is there anything else we want to say about the gate or just the Tick coming out or?
So, Tick coming out. Tick comes flying out. He's got Lovecraft Country in his hand, and me and Wayne had a look, and it did actually say George Freeman as the author. So I am hoping when they discuss this, which I think might be episode 9, going by the titles, I can't really say it could, or they could save it for another time. I doubt it. It'll probably be that episode, but I'm hoping George is there. I'm hoping that's who he is with in his little segment, because how did he get Lovecraft Country with George's name on it? Where did that come from? Did he go to
and is it an actual book, like the type of novel that we would actually read, telling about their lives?
Because I had a quick look. There's a little blurb and there's a little like 3 lines. I couldn't make it out, but there's a picture that it seems like it's Tick looking at something massive in the distance. It looked like a ship, but I couldn't really tell. It could have been a creature, but it was definitely the silhouette of Tick.
I'll have to look and do some.
But that's definitely a deep dive thing because there's loads on that.
Okay.
Just tiny brief book, but I thought it was a nice little. It makes me want to know what Tick got up to. So.
Yeah. I hope we see that next episode.
I think next episode we're going to see sort of the ramifications of them being at that telescope.
Yes.
One of the last shots was the comic, letting the pool of the cop's blood.
And it says by D. Freeman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right on the cover.
The daughter. She signs all of her comics like that. Yeah.
So it's just, I mean, I can't imagine that we aren't going to have a situation where, of course, they're going to arrest D.
Yes.
So like they're going to say that D killed the cops.
The next episode is Boba.
Yeah, because
did you watch the thing again, Josh?
I know what. Yeah, but I'm gonna actually I want to say something about the preview, but if people don't want to hear it,
so we'll do that at the end then. Yeah, or do we want to do that now?
I can do it now.
I will also say that the comic being found by the bad guys is taken from the book.
Yep.
So in the book, in the book, Hippolyta drops the comic. And it's found later by Sergeant or Captain Lancaster, or whatever his name is.
The wizard guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so then they use that to figure out that it's that it's Hippolyta. So at least that element did come straight from the book.
Yeah.
Everybody kept saying that he should have grabbed the other cop and tossed him in the gate first.
Yeah,
I know, right?
I know.
That's what I was thinking.
Turned it
Should
off.
have.
I mean, a good Call of Cthulhu group would have done that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just to be honest.
The one thing that we missed out on is there is a much sweeter ending for those cops in the book. Hippolyta meets someone. She actually goes to a particular.
Let's not spoil
No,
the book.
you don't want to spoil the book.
But isn't it from this episode or is it from the future episode?
It won't be. Won't be in any of the
Yeah,
episodes.
well,
Then you
it
can. I don't mind if you say it. You can.
Okay.
I mean,
It-
take your
it's
headphones
my-
off if you want to read the book. I guess.
Yeah, I mean it's very it's. I'm not going to be too deep, but she
give you
meets a
thumbs up.
person, and then when she's going to leave and like come back to Earth, right? She's like, okay, I'm going to leave now, and then the person that she meets in this other planet goes, oh, I have a gift for you, and so she gives her this gift, and she doesn't open it, and she's like, okay, thanks, and so she goes back, and then the cops are there, and they basically rough her up, and they're like, what's this, right? And they open up the gift, and it's some sort of tentacled monster, right? Because the woman from the other planet was like, I don't want you basically telling anybody where I'm at. I don't want anybody else to come. So she was like, she was going to try and kill Hippolyta with this gift, right? And then Hippolyta's like, oh my God, because this thing like kills these cops. She's like, she just books it, right? She just leaves.
Damn, Hippolyta.
And then she dropped her stuff, right? And so the comic was down there and everything. And but that was so neat because after reading that, I was like, God, I not knowing because the series hadn't even started yet, but I knew it was coming. I was like, God, I can't wait for them to see how they do this chapter on TV, because I wanted to see that. Didn't get it, but got a really, really great episode.
Yeah.
You could get the adventures of a cop that got thrown through.
I know, right? I was just thinking about that. I wonder what he was up to.
Little
Yeah, just
side
'cause-
adventure.
Just because he was wounded and dead doesn't mean that he would be once you tossed him through the.
Exactly.
He could come back
True.
as Superman or something.
Right.
Oh, I have seen the error of my ways.
Or he could be like Homelander. Yeah.
Oh god.
Oh, jeez.
Oh no. No, we don't want that.
There's another show we could talk about too. It's not Lovecraftian, but holy crap.
It's a good show, though. Yeah. Anyway.
I could talk about the boys for days, but we're not gonna get.
Yeah, we won't go there. But
All right.
yeah.
All right, Josh, talk about what you wanted to talk about. I'm going to
Okay.
take my ears off.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh,
So
okay.
I don't want to know.
viewers, I will say when I've finished, and then for
John's
people
thinking
watching,
about
I'll put my. But so, the next episode is called Jigabobo, and it's going to be Deanna. It's going to be a Deanna-centric episode going by the preview. And it looks interesting because Lancaster is seemingly going to kidnap her. And there's a creature that looks a bit like Freddy Krueger chasing her, which I assume might be this Jigabobo creature.
Yeah.
I have not a clue. It looks very interesting. We'll see what happens. But it is by the looks of it, it's a Deanna-centric episode.
Yeah.
Just by the tease.
All
So
right.
yeah, there we go. That's just. Come
Awesome.
back.
Come back, my child. Come back.
I didn't see any of you go.
I know, right?
No.
That's because like the three of us read the book, so like we kind of
Yeah,
knew what was happening. You guys took your headsets off, so
Oh, one thing I forgot to mention earlier that I thought was interesting is that this episode, when we cut back to Ruby and Christina, that was one of the first times that we saw them come from one form to another, and we saw a scene change, and the blood was still on the person. I thought that was interesting.
yeah, I would imagine that because like it was just right after Ruby asked her like, "What the hell is going on? What's down in the basement?"
But I mean, Ruby is wearing an outfit that we saw got covered in blood earlier, and so yeah. Anyway, it's just interesting that Ruby got all cleaned up, but
Yeah.
Ruby got all cleaned up, but Christina, she was still gory. So
Thinking about Ruby, later in the episode, after she had that conversation with Christina, I feel like there was probably things said that we were not privy to.
yeah,
At least, we might get shown it as a flashback or something later. But Ruby has always had disdain, for Letitia, and I think Ruby is trying to like get information. I think she's trying to almost spy for Christina now, and that's why she was willing to entertain having a conversation with her sister. And I'm sure it did catch her off guard when her sister apologized, but that didn't stop her. Because at one point she even asked, she goes, say, when you guys got here, you were interested in getting Woody. What for? She's like trying to probe her sister for intel that I think she's going to take back to Christina.
Maybe.
That's interesting.
Possibly.
Christina's got a bit of a holdover now.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah, because I think Ruby likes the freedom and power that she can have, that release by becoming a different person, by becoming a white woman, and that the freedom that brings her. So,
or possibly even a male if she wants to.
She could become William now if she so desired. Yeah, that would be insane.
Yeah, that'd be kind of wild.
That'd be interesting, wouldn't it? If you had Christina as Christina, then Ruby as William, and
yeah.
It would just,
and then have them in the same room.
It'd be an interesting dynamic.
Or William and Ruby could both become William. I mean, Christina and Ruby could both become William.
So
you could have two Williams in the same room.
Yeah, now you're talking. All right. Do we have anything else, Josh?
One last thing.
Of course.
We need to do ratings too. Yeah.
Ratings. I'll do my one last thing, then we can do a quick. So my one last thing is, this is mainly for two people who have read the book here. Do you think Cousin Horace will appear?
No.
It's Horace, isn't it? It's Cousin Horace, isn't it?
But yeah,
I don't remember the character.
I think it's too late in the season to be introducing new characters.
Yeah,
agreed.
Because obviously he appears in the second to last chapter.
Oh yeah, Cousin Horace. Yeah, no, we're not gonna see any new characters like that now.
Yeah, I thought. I just want to get your opinion because I kind of wanted him to appear, but I don't.
Because usually in a TV show they wouldn't introduce new character at the end of the show unless they already were greenlit.
Yeah, maybe in the last episode they might.
I will keep you
to
up to
kind
date on the
of bridge to the next season, but
because they are still discussing a renewal. There's no definite.
There's no definite yet.
No definite yes or no. So we'll see.
Maybe if they do a better job with the season.
I rate the episode an 8. I give it an 8. That's what I rate this episode.
I'd say it started as a 6 and it went easily up to a 9.
I think it's a 9.
I give it a 9 as well.
Yeah,
I give it an 8.
It gained a point for me because George.
Yes, right, George.
And that it was just as sensitive and good an episode or an relationship between them that you wanted. That very sweet, realistic relationship. Yeah.
The episode just got better and better, and that's why it is an 8 for me.
In fact, I think I'm going to go watch the second half again.
Yeah.
Just for the pleasure of it.
Yeah.
We are Into the Darkness. We constitute a large group of friends from around the world that play a game called Call of Cthulhu role-playing game. You can find us at intothedarkness.club. We play Tuesday through Friday, a couple of hours a night, and we post these videos on YouTube. We have a Discord server where you can chat with our other members. You can set up a private game. You can learn the finer arts of gameplay and game mastering. There's a link below. We're currently producing up to 4 shows a week with music and sound effects added in post-production. In order to create a richer listener experience, we provide audio-only versions of our shows free for you to download from Podbean or iTunes. The costs involved with the show are provided almost entirely by our patrons. Without them, we wouldn't be able to do what we do. If you'd like to help support our show, please visit our Patreon account. Just $1 to a month helps us a lot. You can find a link in the description below. Like, share, and subscribe to our channel, and punch the bell icon for updates on our latest shows. And leave us some comments. We enjoy reading them and answering any questions you might have. This is Tom Rayleigh, together with all the members of our gaming club, inviting you to journey with us once again into the darkness for another adventure into the universe of H.P. Lovecraft and the Call of Cthulhu role-playing game. Until next time, good luck and good gaming.